Hi, we're here today as part of the Shift into Wellness Summit to have a little conversation with Dr. Mary Jo Bulbrook as president of Akamai University and also head of the Global Healing Alliance. We're just going to talk a little bit about some of the power of belonging to the summit and where the opportunities might take you. Hi, Mary Jo.
Hi, Michelle. That's wonderful to be here with you and to talk about things that are so passionate between our shared visions that we have, both with your organization, all the work you have been doing and laying foundation, and the work that I have been doing. And this is really what the future is all about. And I'm a nurse by profession, and our nursing profession just put out a call for grants called Reimagining Nursing. And to
Mm.
me, this is exactly what I have done in my new role as being president of Akamai University. And before I did that, I was working with Dr. Effie Chow, who has done traditional Chinese medicine in integrating the work of different cultures, different countries, movement, music, sound, vibration, how it influences our health and well-being. And so through that association with Effie, we formed the Global Healing Alliance. And there were three of us who were active working with that. And currently my role is the CEO of that, where I help manage putting all of the logistics together and connecting the various organizations who are looking at revolutionizing healthcare. And so that actually was a perfect blend and fit for Akamai University, who began reimagining how we reach people worldwide. You know, the models that we have, and I've been in academia all my career. I've been in charge of nursing programs at bachelor, master, and doctoral. And then when I started studying health and well-being from a broader context, looking at energy therapies, it inspired me to look at things in a new way. And that came from the faculty I was working with at the University of Utah. They said, hey, you ought to look at therapeutic touch by Dolores Krieger and the research that she did, saying what a difference it can affect and help people in their wellness. So I go, okay. So through my faculty's suggestion, that's how I entered full time or began to explore energy work. And then it became a cornerstone of my career. And part of my philosophy is whatever you teach, you need to practice what you teach. So I always had a private practice on the side as well, in helping individuals and families change and heal. And another thing, which somebody says, are you sure you're not wacko, Mary Jo? And I go, well, sometimes I think I really am wacko because I hear things, I see things, I am inspired to go in certain directions as opposed to others. And this is what I have labeled multidimensionality. And it's a neutral platform, or it's intended to be a neutral academic platform to help the individual be empowered to follow what inspiration they get. And it's curious to me while I was in the other room and things come to me to talk about. And I had on my counter, moving into spirit, becoming contemplative in action. So as I read that, I picked it up and it went through all the different stages that a person goes through. And I go, this is exactly what we're teaching at the university. Instead of indoctrination, you come into our program and you have to study things this way or you have to go in that direction. The goal is to look at what's happening in the world and what are you as an individual person motivated to do to follow your unique path, because we can't be everything to everybody at all times. Although sometimes I look at my life and I think, oh my, it feels like that's what I'm being asked to do. And I go, okay, today I need to focus on my family first, or today I need to do this first, because this can go in the back seat for a while, but I need to look at my own self-care. And sometimes I go, I'm tired, I got to go to bed, I don't care what I have to do, and close the door. This is what we're being asked to do at times, to pay attention to all of our obligations and follow them as we are inspired. And that's what was written in this book. And it's coming from a spiritual perspective. How, and what I liked is they were contrasting what is the law, what is the rule, what is the regulation, to divine inspiration and empowerment. And I thought, that is really perfect. This is where our world is today. And there are many issues where going my direction, we need to be first, well, and things like that, where the goal is, why don't we work together? You don't get a man on the moon or on Mars or doing those things without a collaborative effort. You need to look at the health and well-being of the astronauts. And I thought that was rather curious. We have our first lay people, amateurs in space. That just happened. And it's like they were guided to do something in a different direction. This is what our university and our school stands for. And so anytime I see something that is going in a different direction, that is attempting to empower people to find their unique path, I say, hands up, I want to work with you. And so this is how Michelle and I first really got started in different ways. I believe our past and the things that she's passionate about and have worked with and can be well, noticing the evolution that has gone through with that organization, which is, and the other groups that they're working with, this is a perfect thing to begin to follow, and which is our own divine inspiration. And so, education, my whole life, I've been guided, even though I'm a practitioner as well, and a family therapist and psychotherapist, my goal is education. And this is how I would even approach therapy. It's not Mary Jo's the expert or Dr. Bulbrook knows the best way to go. It's like, I'm sharing who I am, what my experience is. And as we engage together, this can help you to learn a new way or a new path, and let's see where it'll take you. And this is what is taught not only to the student who says, hey, I want to go for an advanced degree, bachelor, master, doctoral, or just continuing education. I may need to upgrade my licensure as a social worker, a psychologist, a physician, a nurse, or a coach, or whatever your background or interest is. Or let's say you're an energy therapist and you need to renew your certification. And I've recently gone through some of cleaning out some old files, both for myself and family members. And I go, oh my God, look at this diploma from way back when. Look at these courses that I studied. And it helped me to reflect. I always was looking for new things. What is it that I need now? And what can I do to help other people? And this is what I have seen happen. So when I took over the role of president of Akamai University, which was in February of this year, 2021, that was not my plan. I was invited by the board of directors if I would consider it. And I prayed about it and I thought about it and I said, no, I'm not a president. I'm just Mary Jo, who's committed to education and have a history. If you want me to do this, I'll do the best I can with my knowledge base and collect around me the people who have different expertise, because it's not a one-person thing on how you're going to achieve anything worthwhile. But it does take one person to step up to the plate to do their thing. And this is where we start. What is the individual? Where are they? And when I interview potential students who are saying, hey, is there a good fit between your university and who I am and where I am? And I say, okay, tell me about you. What do you want to achieve? We always start with, what is it you would like to achieve? And then I begin to say, well, we probably can help that. And here may be the way. And but it's a co-creation of meaning process, which means this is what our standards are. This is how we do what we do. This is what the cost is. And then we see if there's a fit. And the way the university, how I've originally designed the Complementary and Alternative Medicine Institute for CAM Studies was from my own personal experience. I have grown up with the evolution of CAM therapies into health and healing. I grew up with that. As you can see, this face is not a real young face. So I've been around a very long time and have a wealth of experience to build on and have worked in multiple countries. And I loved my role up in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, where I was in charge of a nursing department graduate degree. And I worked in a collaborative way with the physicians. And it was about the time also that in the United States, Charlotte McGuire, the founder of the American Holistic Nurses Association, was helping to launch that. And she and I are colleagues, and we started talking about it. And that's how the Canadian Holistic Nurses Association got launched. And when I was in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, one of my colleagues who was on the nurse practice committee or licensure, she was the one who helped establish that nurses could use this for their work. And she said, well, do only nurses take this work? And this is when I was introducing Healing Touch CAM therapies in Canada. And I said, no, anybody could study this who are called to do it. And she said, okay, well, then it will be open so that others than nurses can take this, but we will honor it for the licensure for nurses. And then because that was done in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, in the other states in the countries in Canada said, oh, it is part of nursing licensure here, therefore we'll accept it and we don't have to recreate it. I share that because that's the collaborative piece that happens. My colleague, and I'm not really sure where we first met. I can see the picture of her clearly, and I can't call out her name now, but through the different roles that she had, we did collaborative work that helped many other things happen and helped the spread of complementary and alternative medicine, specifically therapeutic touch, healing touch, then touch for health when I became involved with that work, and Reiki, et cetera, et cetera. So I've had a diverse background. And when I was on the board of directors of the Association of Comprehensive Energy Psychology, they were working to be accepted by the American Psychological Association. They would say, whoa, what is this? Where is the science in that? Well, when you're starting something new, the science isn't there. It takes time. But the science is, it's been around before we had the science of. It was part of the culture. It was part of how people healed. There are what are called Indigenous Healers in the country who people went to before there was healthcare the way we know it. And I do want to acknowledge when I lived in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, that was an eye-opener for me because I didn't know about socialized medicine. Because in the United States, we had a little box how medicine was delivered. We had a box how psychiatry was delivered, which I'm a mental health nurse and family therapist. And so it began to say, I began to look at things and say, that box that we had doesn't fit for what is real. And when I was guided to move to multiple countries, I was born and raised in Ohio and did my founding work there. Then I went to Texas, and from Texas, I began to see the good guys and the bad guys. The good guys were the one who practiced and did what we did in Ohio or what was done in Texas. And then I go, well, I'm not part of the good guys, because the way I was educated, the good guys are the ones who think just this way. And I found that's not true. That isn't the way it works. It's just that in different cultures, they have a framework that works for that culture, and it's based on their history. And now if they want to grow and change in new ways, leadership needs to come from a collaborative way. And so I began to be very, very clear. I am not an indoctrination kind of an educator, nor is our institution, Akamai University, nor is the Global Healing Alliance. We do what is called co-creation of meaning. We work to activate the knowledge base, the inspiration within the individual who comes forward to identify their leadership path. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to figure out, who am I? What do I do? How do I need to serve? And there are times things come in that we didn't know anything about. And I'll use as an example. When I was in Salt Lake City, Utah, I was very busy in my role, director of psychosocial nursing. But I got tapped on the shoulder by a physician who said, we're going to start occupational health and safety, apply for a grant. And they approached our dean, would you like to join us? Because what nurses do and how they help. So the dean said to me, hey, Mary Jo, will you do it? And I go, oh, okay. What do I know about occupational safety and health? So I had to figure out, what about occupational safety and health? What about organizational health? What role do they play in shaping the destiny of a person? Because I had been studying in my work as a mental health practitioner, what shapes the individual that helps them or hinders them to make the decisions for their life. And one of my colleagues who's well-known and respected is Virginia Satir. And when I was working on my graduate degree, my major professor said, oh, Mary Jo, you ought to study the work of Virginia Satir. She was the social worker. I said, okay. So I did what my teacher suggested I do. So she came and taught in Texas. When I was there, I'm sitting there, and as she's starting to interview families, I go, who is the patient? I need to know who the patient is, because the diagnosis is what directs the ship. I go, she's not doing that. Oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to learn how to act? So I had to learn a whole new way of working with people. It's not the diagnosis that steers things. Sometimes it can mislead you, because the diagnosis could be because, I diagnose a person a certain way, and it's because they've been, the medication they're on has clouded their thinking, and it makes them look like X, Y, Z. It's because they haven't balanced the right dosages. They're just over medicating this person. And so this person has gotten X label, and it's actually an over medication error rather than this person is greatly impaired. And so what the Satir model did and taught me is that we need to deal with people from an individual perspective, a family perspective, in a context. What is going on in their life? What is going on in their community? How do these factors affect health and well-being? And so back to then my role in being president of Akamai University, I go, what's going on in the world? February the 1st, 2021. What is happening here? Oh, health and well-being needs to change. I knew that for sure. Oh, climate issues, fires, hurricanes, floods. These things are affected by inappropriate decisions from self-serving individuals who don't think of the implications of the choices they make in their industry that affects health or hinders health. So we're beginning to look at, and when I was on the practice committee of the American Holistic Nurses Association, they asked me to be on the climate control planetary health committee. And I go, all I know about is recycling and what I personally do from it. I don't know the bigger picture of it because I haven't studied it. Well, will you be on this committee? Oh, sure. So then I had to find out about planetary health, and I go, oh my God, look at these issues. And so then I started writing papers about what I was finding and researching it. And then I built it in the university curriculum. We have to look at climate health, how it affects individual health, how it affects organizational choices. Are they self-serving choices? Are they taking in the full arena?
Well, we're back. We had a slight little glitch in the recording, and Mary Jo's just going to continue with the summary that she was working on before we were interrupted.
Well, thank you. And I apologize if I'm going to repeat myself a little bit because of the technical glitch. And, you know, that's a good example of what happens to us in life. We have technical glitches in our personal and professional lives. You know, at times the door closes, things get shut down, and we go, how did that happen? Where am I with my life? Now, what choice do I need to make? I've become ill. I have a health challenge. And I'll give you an example of that this morning. My friend was fixed a store-bought smoothie that is the new women's own business of how she's promoting people who are very busy could have these nutritional things. So we were testing it this morning. I said, wow, this is really good. It's a fast shortcut. I can have a quick nutritional meal this morning that I don't have to go out and buy all these unique ingredients that are in. I just put it in the blender, it's frozen, and I can rush to my meeting now. And so I said to my friend, where did this come from? Well, the woman who created it was very busy. She couldn't meet all of her obligations. Things began to shut down for her. So she started just throwing ingredients together to create a smoothie to have a more nutritional balance of the things that she would work with. And so I go, wow, what an interesting concept. From her hardship she experienced in life, she found a new way to create a woman's business that then has multiplied and grown very nutritional. And the gentleman who referred it to my friend, who then served it this morning, he had been gaining a lot of weight and couldn't figure out how to handle it and chose this as a method. So he was excited about what he experienced. He shared it with my friend, who shared it with me. and I'm sharing it now. And this is an example of how we move from an idea, from a glitch that occurs, to something that turns out spectacular in a person's life. And this is what I'm saying Akamai University is now dedicated to do. I notice these interferences at times are attempts to lead us to go in a new direction or to be inspired in a new way. And I was starting to use as the example when I was at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. I was very busy with my schoolwork and caring for my family. I was a single mom and had young children, and the situation I set up was a good situation for the education, for how my kids were taken care of when I was doing my academic. But one of my colleagues tapped me on the shoulder and said, Mary Jo, we're trying to start a hospice program, which was new in the country. This was early in the 70s. And can you help us? I know you're very busy, but can you help us? Well, sure. I don't really know exactly how to deal with death and dying. I do know how to deal with people. So we started meeting. There were three of us, three women who started planning. And after a while, we got a call from somebody because the word got out that we were starting a hospice. Somebody needed help. So I said to the other two women, why don't we go and meet with the family, and maybe we can figure out what we need to design from an educational point of view to teach people how to deliver hospice programs, because they were just starting in the United States. They originated in England. And so that's what we did. We met with the family, and as I observed what they did, what the dynamics were, I began to say, oh, these are critical elements to provide what meets the need of the people we're serving, the families, the person who's dying, the children who are part of this family. This is how we need to interact. And so it was a mutual play between being together in a discovery process. And this is how it got established. And so the educational foundation was laid, and it's ongoing today. And then I began to take what I'd learned there when I moved to St. John's, Newfoundland, and started teaching it there and started talking about it. And then when I started going to other countries to teach energy therapies, I could start talking to them about how do you deal with dying and death and aftercare in your country. And so I began to learn how different countries dealt with that and what is needed. And when, again, I go back to when I took over the university and the students I had in multiple countries, we began to look at what's going on in your country. What are the core issues you are dealing with? And one of my doctoral students who's in India, she is a psychologist. And in India, psychologists only do diagnosing. And so that's what her role was. But she is an energy therapist and a healer and teaches Touch for Health and now Transform Your Life Through Energy Medicine, my training program that integrates all the things that I've learned in multiple countries. She teaches that now. And so she's saying, I want to help the persons, a psychologist in my country, how to expand their role. And this is what she's doing. Now, then recently, as we hired a new faculty member who was from Nepal, which is close to India, and he lives there now, I thought he'd be a great asset to help her with her goal because he worked with the government and he worked with the United Nations. Well, isn't that interesting? They're looking at issues around health and well-being, and how we have more deaths from food in shortage, in inability for adequate nutrition, and processing that, which the energy therapies and the movement are key to help the system, the body, work effectively. And so he is an expert in this system and working to serve the poorest of the poor. And I thought, the underserved, the inequality, and this is in the world for those who have and those who don't have. And how do we create a balance? How do we find, I keep thinking, when I look in the early days, I did do some work with drug companies, and I finally left because it hurt my soul, some of the things I experienced. And it was because I felt there was an abuse. And I thought, oh yeah, you have a lot of money to donate here. And wow, look at how important it is. You are donating things. And then I look at my sister's bill for her cancer treatment, which was $8,000 a month for one pill. I go, oh, interesting. We have to look at how things are done and what are some natural ways that can be done to help people improve their health. And this is what complementary and alternative medicine, it's not an either or, it's an and. But we really need to look at how decisions are being made. And I go back, I want to talk about breast prosthesis for people who've had cancer, what the cost was for that, and the cost for bras that were paid. I can remember both for family members who needed these items, what they cost. I go, how are you going to do that in countries where money is such a tremendous problem? How do you address that? To tell you the truth, for people who are good at sewing, it is not that big of a deal to come up with a bra for a woman who is struggling dealing with body images and issues, in particular if only one breast is removed rather than two. When two are removed, it's a lot easier than when you have one. It becomes much more obvious. But these are issues. I'm reporting about these experiences. These are issues that affect the wellness that an individual would have, the body image issues, the trauma that they experience, the injustice. And then I want to comment further about the other opportunities. I'll use as an example that ties in together health and well-being, climate change, and justice for all. My colleague asked for help with raising money in one South African country. It's Uganda. This gentleman, and I'm not real sure how he got started, worked with a woman who was helping orphans in this country who didn't have any place to go and who were living on the street. He figured out, he's an American, how to purchase a house so that this woman could take care of these children she had been taking care of on the street. He taught them how to plant things that is natural and how to get enough water to make the plants work in their country. And at this point, or at some point, I don't remember the exact time frame, the product, and there's pictures showing, and this will be up on the Global Healing Alliance within a couple of days, because this just came to me 2 days ago. And so it's showing what the products are like that now this woman and other women who have joined her and teaching the children how to work with these plants and develop nutrition. She is selling to restaurants in her country these gorgeous looking vegetables. I go, One man did this, and look at how it changed many people's lives. He was inspired. He was inspired. And now I am helping him get the word out through both Akamai University, because his is a nonprofit that he started, and helping how do someone else may need to do it in their country. We've got a lot of countries who are struggling with a lot of things. So what is it that turns your spirit on, turns your spirit up? This is what we are all about. And it's a cooperative effort. And it's multinational. And it's working together. And the terminology that I came up with when I was working with this one professor that I described to you, who is Dr. Mann BK. And the terms we gave up is giving, talent, resources, and time. Okay, think of these three things for you as an individual. What do you have to give? What are your talents? You know, I gave examples. I'm a nurse, I'm a psychotherapist, I'm interested in organizations, and then I became interested in energy therapies. And then I helped a friend start a hospice program. Then I was asked to take on the university. I went to other countries and I learned from them and they learned from me. I learned how to work together. I studied healthcare in the United States. Then I went to Canada and I go, wow, they do things differently here. There's some things I need to learn about and we have to change in the United States. And then I saw how Indigenous healers in other countries did what they did. I integrated those things and saw that for the future, reimagining health, reimagining wellness is a collaboration between health of the individual, the family, the community, the organization, the nation. This is tied into climate planetary health, looking at what is needed in my community. Are we having hurricanes, floods? What is here? How do I need to help people who are experiencing those things? Maybe I need to back up. And when I remember my father, who had a third grade education, ran a gas station, a Texaco gas station, a long time ago. And he said, the future of the car industry is an electronic car, not a gasoline car. Dad, how come you couldn't take it to the next step other than saying the words? Because look at where we'd be now. We'd have all of this money probably, etc. I'm just joking. But the issue is climate health would be different instead of what we have done in that particular industry. We have to reframe things. Planetary health is tied into everyday experience. But my dad had an insight. He ran a gasoline station, okay, but he knew something else was needed to move forward with his third grade education, okay? The point is, it's not just the degree you can hang on the wall. It is your internal process and what you put together to accomplish the goal. And the purpose of the educational industry is to help you achieve that, okay? It's not to just build up this institution. It's to help you achieve what your personal interest is. That's what we're about. And the third component, which is we have 3 colleges, and the third component is equality and justice for all. Now, That has been an integral part of my soul from the very beginning. As you can see, I'm white, right? As you can see, I'm a senior. Okay, some people do prejudice things. You're too old. You're too white. You won't understand us. Oh, no, I don't understand. I may not understand. And I didn't. I look at what I'm learning now about the inequalities and go, man, they didn't teach us stuff like that. So at our university, it is required. Every student needs now to look at health, individual health and wellness, planetary health, and racial equality and justice for all. Those are the three cornerstones of how we built the curriculum. And it is guided as a partnership. It's not the teachers in charge. It's not the therapists in charge. It's we form a relationship together to help each other and get the word out to do what we need to do. That is what I do in my personal life. This is what it's done with Global Healing Alliance. This is what is done with Akamai University. This is what Michelle and I did together. She traveled with me to other countries. We began to know each other in different kinds of ways as she visited the community and learned the application of these energy therapies and how I practice what I preach in these countries. And when we ran into obstacles, which we did, which is natural, you always can, you have different ideas about things. I needed to grow, Michelle needed to grow, other things needed to grow, and we did. We figured out how to make it work. That is the issue today. How do we figure out how to make things work when you come up with a glitch, whatever the glitch is? It is a lesson to help empower you to either clear out something from your past. Those who've experienced trauma, those who I've just studied last Wednesday, looking at narcissistic behavior and problem with childhood trauma and how that gets stored in the energy system and ways that are being done to clear that. So I'm not done learning yet. None of us are done. And when I deal with small children, and one of our other doctoral students, her work is in Montessori education and dealing with young children and teachers of young children, because sometimes they don't get what they need at their home. Sometimes they need help and interventions to learn different strategies and different ways. And right now, some of my family is dealing with teenage grandchildren. And I go, oh yeah, I remember what teenagers are like as they're starting to break away and out of the nest and say, I want to do things differently. How do we deal with that? How do we deal with it? My children, my sons who have teenage children from ages 19 down to 1 year are my grandchildren. So I am continually getting new data about what is in current today, the issues around COVID. I remember the stresses when my children would get sick, and I think, how am I going to care for them? I have to go to the office and do this at the university today. How did family members deal with the crisis? How are the healthcare people, the nurses, doctors, social workers dealing with what their obligations are? And my brother-in-law's recent hospitalization with when he fell at home, went to the emergency room, 26 people in front of him in line to be seen. So after waiting 6 hours, they said, well, the patient in front of you had to wait 14 hours before he was seen by a doctor. Do you want to go home tonight? And then we'll call you if your blood work shows something. So he went home. And guess what? He fell at home, injured himself. Emergency people had to come again, take him back to the hospital. I go, oh, we've got problems. We have to work with the healthcare people to help them to deal with their overstress and helping people who are suffering. So we have a lot of things to look at and to work with. We invite you to come be part of our programs, join our partnerships, help us to find solutions that fit who you are, and you grow and change and contribute as we work together in whatever ways that we're being guided to do. So in summary, that's what we're all about, what we have to offer. And I'd love communicating with you to see if there's a good fit. So is there anything you'd like me to address, Michelle? Do you think that I left out that
No,
your
it's
community might
beautiful. There's so many examples and ways that people can experience the bioenergetic wellness work, and knowing how it works and how well it works, and then realizing how they can keep it in their family, or how they could pass it to their friends, or they might have a small practice that they do, or they might have a weekly busy practice. But then to start really thinking about, how do we expand this knowledge? How do we make sure it thrives and stays solid so that we can be assisting the medical model? We can be the answer to some of the problems that are out there, because we didn't just stay in our tiny little zones, but we actually started to think in a bigger capacity. And I'm thrilled to partner. I mean, we've been partnering through Can Be Well in different kinds of initiatives, but I'm really excited to be partnering with Knowlative, who has the ability to bring us together in a research, science-based way to help raise protocols and raise collaborations in the way they want to bring information collectively together. And then you bring that into the initiatives of Akamai University, and you can see how these partnerships all just start to really play with each other. We're taking the best of each other and really making it thrive. And when you talked about the crisis, and I think about having to redefine our name and how are we going to refer to ourselves and what are our key pieces, and that turned into what I thought was, a master's thesis of, a small little project into this huge process. But Akamai University was there to support all the way through. How can you think better? How can you think different? Who are the people you could collaborate with to find the answers that you're looking for? And so Can Be Well's partnership at that time with Akamai University really helped to lead the way with how can we be different. And so it's a really exciting time. The way that we put the conference together is in just that same kind of mental process that you've described. How many different ways could you think about things? How many different ways could you explore them? And as you talked about your background of all these questions coming to you, could you just sit on this board? Could you just participate in this action, and things you didn't know things about, but your knowledge and your way to work through it really assisted other people. And I think we sometimes forget about those tools, having that capacity. Yes, we have the capacity to remove a pain or realign the body and you have better posture, but we also have the ability to really problem solve. And that problem solving, especially if you're getting biofeedback, that problem solving can be personalized, but then it can be globalized, which is also really cool. So it's a lovely discussion, Mary Jo.
Well, as always, I love discussing things with you. And I'm reminded I'm going to say, when you and I first started talking, we were sharing some of the personal things going in your life and in my life. And one of the things that I did to help make decisions, I was doing muscle testing, I was using the pendulum. Sometimes I stood up and did body pendulum. Mm-hmm. And I did this and have been doing it the last couple of days with the extreme issues I'm dealing with. And I said, I can't just put it through this doctorate degree head I have. I need to move it through my body to begin to give me a different answer that is better than just what my head would say. And so that was a tool and a resource. And I love my early days with John Thee, who was a personal friend and inspiration. We were colleagues with Virginia Satir. How I met him and became involved with this work that's connected to it, kinesiology. And, you know, from when I watched him, we would hang out together because we were friends with Virginia Satir. And people come in with pain here and there, and they couldn't walk and they couldn't do this. And he would, in a short period of time, do different things. And I go, he gets things done faster than some of the stuff I learned how to do. You know, oh, I think I better study this, which is what moved me into that. And then I go, this is better than here, take this drug. It is a natural way. And then when they taught other people how to do it for themselves, I go, what a concept. You take charge of your own health and well-being. And I go, this is where we need to move. And when I said my brother-in-law, when he moved from inpatient hospital care because of COVID now to rehab center to learn how to steady and walk and not fall and things like this, it was like, and I'm helping to move his house. And I said, I need to tell you, he said, oh, I wish I could be there with you, Mary Jo, to help pack up the house since we have to move and get out. I said, your job is to learn how to get well, to do what they're showing you to do, to improve your health, your strength, take care of your wellness. Right now, that's your job. I'm helping out with this other stuff, and I'm going to find out what you need and you want that I do. Since I have the footwork, my feet can move and lift packages and boxes and things like that. And your wisdom, we're going to do this together. We're working through this together. That's the bottom line. These aren't stories theoretically I'm talking about. These are real life things that I'm dealing with right now and practicing what I preach and what I've learned. Mm-hmm. And this is what we're going to do together. And I always look forward to when Michelle and I talk. We start with all our extreme things that we're doing, helping out so many different directions, but it inspires me. It encourages me and turns my channel up that says, you can do it, Mary Jo. Michelle can do it. She's helping you. You're helping her. We can do it together because we have the energy that is inspired from a higher level, showing us what we are guided to do for our soul's purpose in helping to serve others. This is what is needed. Bottom line, this is what's needed.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the conversation. And I know there'll be much more to come as the collaborations grow. And I look forward to the other people who are in the Shift into Wellness Synergy Summit who are going to be expanding their ideas and their thoughts too. Thank you so much, Mary Jo.
Sounds great. Well, I look forward to it. So thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.